Righto, boys, let's get into it. It is time to get good. My name is Michael.
And I'm Benny, and this is How to Get Good.
Yeah, we're two guys. We're going on a journey of self-improvement. We want to take you along with us.
Each of these episodes focus on a specific aspect of self-improvement.
We're going to be delivering practical, relatable, and most importantly, actionable information and outcomes for you to apply to your journey and help you get good.
And today we are talking about something that is getting very popular, raw dogging flights specifically.
Raw dogging and flights, not two individuals, but
together.
The entire thing. We say raw dogging flights because that's, I guess, the nomenclature at the moment. We're talking about digital detox, though, really. That's going to be the focus here. The idea of...
And dopamine fasting, which is as it's attached to that.
Yeah. Raw dogging flights is like the sexy hook. The real outcome is digital detox and dopamine fasting.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Dan here who's going to dive into the who, the what, the when, the why, all the details. And then we're going to talk about, I guess, some personal experience regarding the raw dog and...
whether or not you were able to do it.
How deep into the dog you can raw. So without further ado, let's jump into it.
Okay, so what are we talking about? What it is, what is digital detoxing, and then what is dopamine fasting? Maybe over to Dan to get the who, what, when, how, what, why, when,
Which,
who.
hoop. Let's start with the what.
Yeah, very simply, this seems to be it's digital detox / dopamine fast in the context of on a long haul flight where you really just eliminate every stimulation possible. And so you cannot use in-flight entertainment, you cannot read a book, you cannot be on your phone, you cannot eat the in-flight food, you cannot have a conversation, you are meant to just stare there. A lot of people have their eyes open, which I think is pretty creepy, but the idea is you're eliminating every source of stimulation. You sort of sit with your thoughts. And so, I don't know, it's a really peculiar environment to do a meditation like that, to me personally.
I don't think it's real. I think it's turned into an internet.
I've actually gotten a business flight from Germany to Sydney with someone I work with, and they actually did it. I hadn't heard of raw dogging at that point.
Yeah, all right.
And they, to be fair, to Dan's point, eyes open looks a bit creepy. He looked like a full-blown serial killer. He's just sitting there. In fact, he might have broken it to play Who Wants to Millionaire for 10 to 15 minutes.
It's a good game. Great game.
I think he became a millionaire.
Okay, so look, I'm just going to say, I think it's now turned into a meme. Like, it's just a funny joke that I think guys will do.
Yeah. And,
like, they'll print out a picture of, like, I saw one that was, like, just me, a 14-hour flight, and a black and white picture of Luke Brooks from West Tigers printed and put on the front. Like, it's funny now.
Yeah.
And so I would prefer us to not think about this, like, meme format of long-form flight. I think that's the conduit. And I think what we're diving into is the idea of a digital detox and dopamine reset was the term?
Fasting.
Dopamine fasting.
Yeah, I mean, digital detox concepts have been around for a while now. Excessive use of social media, whether that be kids, teenagers, all the way through to adults, isn't great for mental health. And there's this always-on culture that we're all living and breathing in our everyday lives now. And so I think there are some merits to a digital detox. I think quantifying and wrapping your arms around those benefits. Most studies seem to indicate if you have existing mental health concerns, then there's absolutely a benefit. But I'm sure it still plays out into the rest of us as well. Dopamine fasting is a relatively novel concept, and the idea is that our lives now are so stimulus is so ubiquitous, whether it be the way social media is designed to stimulate our dopamine, whether it's this instant gratification that we feel in our everyday lives. And the idea is that theoretically to go on a fast from stimulation to sensitize ourselves to dopamine and therefore the reward that we get when we introduce ourselves back into a stimulating environment. I think a lot of it is pretty theoretical, to be honest. It might have some logical underpinnings, but probably not enough of a mechanistic base or certainly an empirical evidence base. But raw dogging ultimately probably would have come from the two trends of digital detox, dopamine fasting together. I personally think if you're going to go do any of those things, the last fucking place I would do that is on a plane. I'd prefer to be in a forest on a beach or in a natural environment where it's going to feel like I'm going to get more mindfulness benefits from eliminating stimulation.
Huberman is sort of like the intro, I think, to a lot of people. And
Sure.
I've taken a couple of things from Huberman. I try to do the cold shower in the morning.
Yep.
In winter, it gets a lot harder, so I've been cowarding that a fair bit. Not having coffee until 90 minutes after I wake up, and not looking at my phone for the first 30 minutes of getting up. Because I open my phone, I'm like, let's hear the worst opinions from the worst people on earth with 100% anonymity, right? So I'm just getting this toxic brainwash in the morning.
Yeah.
So from him, I took those three things. Anecdotally, I feel so much better than just like waking up, turning up, looking at the phone. So from my end, that's been quite helpful. I usually ask this question to Dan. I say, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? We've established the what, the why, and the benefits. Do you reckon the juice is worth the squeeze in terms of committing to a digital detox and a dopamine fast?
I fucking absolutely wouldn't be raw dogging on a flight unless
Unless
you're flying a budget carrier that kind of forces upon you anyway. But I do think there is a merit to creating boundaries around the use of social media, or boundaries around this always on work culture that we have, and doing that in an environment that is going to a natural environment that's going to be grounding and relaxing. Absolutely. But I would definitely not be raw dogging on a flight.
I think it could be good to contextualize as to like how big the detox needs to be to start talking about the perceived or measurable benefits.
Like 12 minutes.
Yeah, and so I think, I would argue,
is it?
yes, it definitely is. So
12 minutes of like conscious.
12 minutes of boredom maybe, or just to take a step back though. So a 20 to 30 hour flight to do that, like what we're really talking about is how long does the period need to be to start getting the perceived benefits. So there is like a 2-week holiday, let's say, where you're going and using your phone less or not at all. There's also like meditation retreats like Vipassanas, which are 10 to 12 days of silence and you're detoxing. Then you have things like, a day without phone. So this would kind of be the equivalent of that flight, or you're going out to doing a hike or something like that with your friends and you're kind of spending the whole day offline, all the way down to a couple of hours. So something structured in like a hobby or something like that. So like maybe 2 hours of zone 2, maybe going to the gym for an hour, maybe doing walking meetings or whatever to break up the day and spend most of your day not on social media or not online or not on a computer.
But listening to music, does that count as well, Dan?
Yeah, it's stimulation. Absolutely. I mean, I music, and absolutely that's stimulation, and that would be counted in a hardcore dopamine fast. But again, like I think let's park dopamine fasting as this like new age fucking go to the forest and sit there for 2 weeks fasting from food too. But the digital detox, which is creating boundaries around this always on and ubiquitous online social environment, I think is worthy of consideration. And like, I agree with you, Bevo. When I wake up in the morning, I have a really bad habit. Sometimes I just get drawn to like, what's happening in the world, and it creates stagnation. And so like, I try and create a boundary where I don't turn my phone on until half an hour after I've woken up. And so that creates more impetus for me to get up and get moving and create momentum, as opposed to getting sucked into the vortex that is Twitter or social media or whatever it is that you're on.
And I think that's good from like an experiential perspective. So you're talking about in the morning, you don't like to smash yourself with social media or, dopamine or whatever it is from the digital sources. So that first kind of 90 minutes, I think we've all experienced like really positive benefits by not getting straight into like, the media. But like, I guess what other aspects, you tried to do this the other day. So what was hard and what did you find?
It's really funny because it only just clicked to me, right? So I got asked to like, Bevo, can you try and do one? But I just remembered in 2012, I went on Big Brother and I did a 3-month digital detox. I had no phone, no stimulation, no music, no television, nothing for 3 months. So
and you stimulated a whole population to be on a digital bender.
I apologize. The apologies that I have to dish. But like genuinely, it was incredible. It genuinely felt freeing. And I was obviously in a fantasy land, and I was like, no one can do this in the real world. You've got to check emails, right? It felt impossible, but it felt like I was Adam and Eve in the Garden of, and you just became more open to the splendors and the joys of the world because you weren't trained to thinking the magic happened in a little cube in your hand or a rectangle in your hand. So like, this sounds so fucking embarrassing, but like, it's like, oh wow, the greens, because that was your stimulation, right? The birds was like your Spotify liked tracks, right?
Yeah.
Like it, like, you know, likes and shares were engaging in a conversation, retelling a story. This sounds so cringe, but like 3 months, no phone. Like I remember thinking, I'm like, this is going to be the only time ever I'm going to be able to do this. And that was 2012, really, before like TikTok and hard algorithmic targeting of like doom scroll. Like it was still, I think, the chronological timeline of Friends. I wasn't getting like just dog shit. And even then it felt incredible. I couldn't imagine how good it would feel to be taken away from who stabbed who today, and here's why this person needs to get deported, and here's why your opinion sucks, and here's why the world's ending. Like just, got a marketing background, so I know that like negativity fuels more shares versus like positivity. I can imagine a detox in today's day and age would be just so much more valuable than it was 12 years ago when I did it.
I think the most incredible part of this is I had no idea you're on Big Brother.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a reveal there, and I don't enjoy it, but hopefully I've done. I like that I used to be like, it was like, oh, that's a Big Brother guy, and now it became, isn't that the dick pill guy from Pilot Ads? So I thought it would get better, it didn't.
I think that, but the way I think about that is just kind of what you're talking about is the greens get greener, the sounds get sharper. I've definitely experienced that. And I think of it kind of, if you have, you know, heaps of sugar or something really overpowering in a dish, it's very hard to kind of feel the other flavors. And that feels similar to me as when I start kind of taking out these really intensive dopamine stimulating experiences, such as, you know, whatever it is, like dating apps or Instagram or whatever it is, you do notice that you kind of you're capable of being, I guess, a bit more curious about the real world because the experience of your actual day-to-day experience can be really potent. And
yeah, the power in presence is wild, and I don't think we're ever truly, like they say, your brain's capable of what a small percent of what it's capable of. What is that real? That's not real. I got it from that film Limitless with Bradley Cooper, so I assumed it was fact. Hollywood has lied to me.
No. You use your whole brain.
Oh yeah. It's good to know that this is actually just what I'm
This
capable
is your
of.
limit.
Yeah, I was like, no, I really put some hard yards in. I can be Zuckerberg. Fuck, this is as good as it gets.
Okay.
No. Like, you can get good.
We're here to get good.
So pulling it to something practical, I think like the most practical version of it for me is you've come to expect that you will feed yourself dopamine at all parts of the day. And that's like going to the bathroom, that's standing in an elevator, that is waiting for coffee, that is on public transport, and it's just forever. So I don't think you
Time
need...
to treat brain.
Exactly.
Time
So
to treat brain.
I don't think you need to go all the way to a full day fast in terms of like a plane or something.
If you have a corporate job, you just can't.
But you can start with like when you next go to the bathroom, just don't do it. Just don't go on your phone.
Read the shampoo bottle instead.
Just do nothing. You just enjoy the experiences of that bathroom experience. Listen to the
Well,
gentle trickling sounds of...
I'm old enough to remember, like, you would be on the toilet and you'd be reading, like, the Glade freshener label. Like, that was the original phone, right? I'm sitting there going, Johnson & Johnson,
Apple stole their innovation
headquarters.
from it. But this is kind of the point. It's like you want to put yourself in a position where you're not forcing information in. You're just being there and letting yourself have the space to digest and process, you know, the types of things that you need to do in a daily life, like problems you're going through or whatever it may be. And that, like, the more space you give yourself, the more things can kind of come up and resolve. And that can be really beneficial for a number of things in your personal life and your professional life.
I just prefer to do that in an environment where if I'm going to create time, like from not being on my phone to try and get that email off or do whatever when I'm on the bathroom, I just prefer to be productive in that space and then create time outside of that, either in the morning or in the evening when I'm in a more natural, more conducive environment to getting the best bang for buck.
I suspect that for most people, the loops that they're finding themselves in that is formed from the habit of always doing it makes it harder to set those boundaries at the end of the day and go into what is like a really lovely 3 hours of
Is this like a foundational practice for you? Like get in the practice of not reaching for the phone when there is a like lull in your life. And then the best outcome would be find an hour on a Saturday and go sit at the beach or 30 minutes and just sit, I mean, I still think it's like
Mate,
fucking
5 minutes. Go for a walk along the beach and then just stop and just for 5 minutes bring mindfulness presence to the environment you're in. It doesn't have to be half an hour or an hour. It can be micro moments of.
And my argument would be, if you can the easiest way to start is to try populate those moments in kind of every part of your day, whenever it's available to you. But you could literally just try look at a wall for 3 minutes in the bathroom. Some would do, some might not. But do whatever you need to do, but just allow yourself to be unstimulated and bored and just see what happens. And I suspect you'll get very bored very quickly, or heaps of shit will start coming up almost immediately.
the voices start, brother. We're going to
Exactly.
stop them real quick. Yeah. It's a difficult one for me because I sit there and I go, we invented what's the difference between sitting on the toilet 30 years ago and there being a book and I picking up a book and reading versus having a scroll, right? One I know is algorithmically programmed for wickedness. The other one is just a book, but you're suggesting the book is still bad. Try and sit with nothing.
We're talking about trying to detox a modern lifestyle in the opportunities you have to do that. And so just don't go to the book. You don't need to go to the book because you're so overstimulated for most of the day. It's exhausting. And so if you have a moment to do nothing, actively do nothing. And that will allow you to start, receiving some of the benefits of like reduced stress, whatever it may be. But the best place to start is the easiest place to start. And
The toilet.
The toilet is a good one. Elevators, for me, like I find myself going straight to my phone. You can't even use your phone in the elevator. And because it's got no internet in the elevator, and I'm still there like flicking through and kind of getting the last version of my loaded Instagram feed.
I reckon the easiest place to start is a book. Because to go from like being hyperstimulated to like going into full cold turkey abstinence for however long that is fucking really hard. Like I catch myself sometimes where I'm like, I have a moment spare and I immediately subconsciously feel drawn to go on my phone and start consuming, whether that be information for work or otherwise. And so like I find the easiest way to distract me from these like sound bites of information that I'm rapidly consuming that causes me to be unable to concentrate in any deep thinking is actually go read a book where I become stimulated and hooked on it, but requires me to do longer, deeper periods of concentration and thinking that I think is a better counterpoint to being hyper-stimulated by sound bites.
Well, how to get good can only be good if we give you an actionable protocol, right? So let's talk actionable protocol for you to apply to your day-to-day life or week to week. We're going to say, to start with, let's say at least 5 toilet trips in a week, do nothing. No book or a book. Right? or just like
Down at the
you know what we're gonna say?
Down at the urinal with the dictionary.
We're gonna say stay off your phone. Yeah. Whatever you do, just stay off your phone for 5 once a day. When you go to the bathroom, stay off your phone. The bigger picture is to find 5 to 30 minutes in a outdoor situation where you feel like you're not staring at a tiled wall and consciously don't reach for your phone and just exist in the moment. And any other steps? Though that seems too simple. Let's try to just push the envelope a little further.
I think there's two paths for me. It's like
no phone, 30 minutes in the morning. That's helpful. I just think that's something that everyone should do.
Think of several moments throughout the day that fit with your lifestyle where you are reaching for your phone, and be aware of that and don't reach for your phone. And those things may include bathroom breaks, elevator, waiting for a coffee, or short kind of public transport. So let's not be unrealistic. If you're on bus for 40 minutes, you're probably listening to some content.
Yep.
So identify those and then choose some of those to do nothing. That would be my first step. And then there are some other components which are larger blocks, which is like exercise. Do not use your phone in the gym, things like that.
So no music?
I mean, music is to me less intense than the visual,
Okay, well that's good, right? Because we don't want to just go absolute raw dog. Music and no screen. Let's eliminate screen time.
That's what I do. I'm eliminating screen time. And then there are moments on the weekend where I would be going for a longer walk, even downgrading from content into walking with a friend and talking. Even that to me is a digital detox because I'm not flooding myself with the dopamine loops that come with social media.
And let's just check each other's screen time. Let's just get like an outcome of what we're actually spending on screen time. Because sometimes the best first step is to see actually how much time you're spending on your phone.
I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
Slack and WhatsApp.
Man, down 30% from last week. I'm feeling pretty good.
How do you check the screen time?
So just type screen time and it should come up. I'll go first. 7 hours and 29 minutes.
I mean, I was forced to be offline
That's not
for a
here.
little while because I was sailing, but I'm actually normally about 6 hours.
3 hours 30.
How many toilet trips are you taking, bro? Yeah, okay, that's... and let's just go to your most viewed thing. Mine's Instagram, and I spend 5 hours a day on Instagram. That's broken, so I'm going to make an effort to not use Instagram on the toilet.
Mine Instagram for me 3 minutes a day. I don't really use it. But
3 minutes a day?
what's more embarrassing is a half an hour in Whoop and
That is great.
That's wild.
Yeah.
and then
Chatting to the language model.
my biggest one's
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, fair.
But that's because I've got an AI girlfriend now, so
Oh, yeah.
that's for interpersonal relationships as
We
well.
get it. We'll get into that topic next week. And Dan?
Mine's Twitter for sure because I consume a lot of health content on there.
Yeah, how's that rebrand going, Musk? We all love X.
And then WhatsApp because we're doing most of our coaching takes place in there.
Oh yeah, yesterday I had 3 hours of WhatsApp and then Slack.
Kindle number 2. Rightio. So let's try to get that down 30 minutes. That's a good first step. Remember the protocol. Limit your phone time on the toilets, bus stops, elevators, and try to find a moment where you're going to reach for your phone. Don't. Look at your screen time. Give yourself a benchmark and then try to pull it down. That's how you get good. I'm Michael.
I'm Benny.
Here's Dan.